Yo, 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 it's your boy, Super Saiyan Mayne Train, coming back at you again with another YouTube video. And today we're going to be going over the difference between caffeine and no caffeine for a pre-race supplement. So, let's just get right into it. So before I tell you guys what I prefer to do, I'd like to just give you a little bit of both sides of caffeine and no caffeine, just so that you can make up your own mind before I make up yours. The benefits of caffeine can be as follows. Caffeine has been studied by multiple runners and multiple dietitians, and it has shown that it can give about an 8 to 12% increase on performance. Now if you're talking about a 6-minute mile, that could be the difference between somewhere around 5:30 and 6 minutes at the exact same exertion of energy, which is pretty crazy. The way that it works is it increases the amount of circulation that you have between free fatty acids in your blood. And what that does is prevent your body from using glycogen. And glycogen, as you know, is what your body uses as storage of carbohydrates, aka energy. ATP is what your body uses to burn through when you are getting tired and you need a quick source of energy. The amount of caffeine that's typically recommended for a person depends on their body weight. So the rule of thumb is about 3 to 5 milligrams per kilogram of weight. So if you weigh about 140 pounds and you drink, let's say, a cup of coffee a day, that'd be somewhere around 2 to 3 cups of coffee 2 to 4 hours before you race. And it'd give you a pretty good lift up. Of course, what the Lord giveth, the Lord can also taketh away, so you need to be careful about your caffeine intake. Too much caffeine can have the opposite effect, and it can increase your heart rate to the point in which you're burning through more energy than you would have had you not taken the caffeine. So I've seen a lot of people, myself included, struggle with that problem personally. And if you take it too soon before you race, it's not really gonna have any effects. I'm just gonna give you guys a couple of stories. A good race that I've experienced with caffeine and a bad race that I've experienced with caffeine. The good race is actually my 5K PR, 15:29. I had a caffeine pill, it was 100 milligrams before I raced the 5K. It was about 2 hours beforehand, and it gave me obviously a pretty good result. It was my best 5K that I've ever ran. But on the flip side, I've also had a race where I've taken caffeine beforehand and I didn't do what I was supposed to do the right way, and it's had the negative effect. And I actually ended up running about 16:07 for that 5K, which is pretty bad if you consider what my best is. What happens is you're going into the race and your heart's beating so fast that you're actually working before you even get to the line. So I got to about the 2-mile mark of that 5K and just hit a wall because I'd already used up some of my stored energy just to keep my heart pumping. So you need to be really smart about what you do. There is a flip side to everything. You really need to be careful. Of course, no caffeine, you're guaranteed that what you have is what you're going to get. So if you're X fit, you're gonna be able to run X time, as long as everything goes well, you're hydrating, you're eating right, etc. So obviously there's not going to be any cons for no caffeine because there's nothing that can possibly go wrong. You just need to be smart about what you want to do with either of these things. So if you're wondering what I recommend, I personally would recommend that you use caffeine to supplement your races. So many Olympians do this. Nick Symmonds, who at one point was the American record holder for the 800 meter, uses caffeine regularly before his races, and it goes perfectly fine. It can give you a substantial energy increase that you wouldn't otherwise have for your race, and it's completely legal, so why not take advantage of that? I will always personally use caffeine before a race, but you need to be careful about how much you intake because it can be bad for your body if you use it too regularly. Always take it 2 to 4 hours before you're going to race, and I would recommend using caffeine in a workout before you even try using it in a race. Everybody's different, and your body could react to that caffeine overload a little bit differently than other people, than I do, than this person does, etc. There's a guy on our team named Matthew Bergstaller who decided to use caffeine before the 3K one time, and he's a pretty good runner. He's capable of running probably 8:40 in the 3K, I would guess, at this point in his life. And he took caffeine before his race, and it ended up making his heart rate about 190 or 200 right before he raced, which obviously is taxing and it's going to tire you out. And he ended up running his 3K in like 10 minutes or maybe 9:50 or something like that. And you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to take that chance at a race, especially if it's an important one. Test it out in a workout first, just so you can know if caffeine is for you or not, because it's definitely not for everybody. Also, you need to be very careful about hydration because caffeine can dehydrate you, and you don't want to go into a race dehydrated. You're going to end up performing much worse than you would have if you had not taken the caffeine. So the day before you're going to use caffeine as a supplement, make sure that you're hydrating very well. That means peeing clear. You know, you've heard the whole gallon of water a day thing. That's pretty legit. If you get a gallon of water in, you're gonna be just fine. The last thing I have to say about caffeine is don't get trigger happy. What's going to happen is you're gonna get super amped. If you've ever taken a pre-workout before a lift, you know that it gets you amped. You just wanna put all this energy into something. And for lifting, that's fine because you're exerting yourself for about 5 to 7 seconds. But running, you can't do that. You can't waste energy like that. So you can't be trigger happy. You need to just use that energy how you would if you were to race normally. So if you go into a race and you've got this caffeine running through you, don't go out and be that guy who's got a 50-meter gap and a 10K in the first 200 meters. You don't want to do that to yourself because you wouldn't do that if you didn't have caffeine. So just be smart. Race how you would normally race and just be a good runner. That's about all that I've got on that subject. If you have any questions about caffeine use or what I use to supplement my races, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'd be glad to get back to you guys. Other than that, that's about all I've got. So, peace, love, and praise the booty.